Hello.
Yes, dear.
Hello, we are live. Yeah, we're here. Just hold on, give us a little while we are live. Yes, here we are. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I can see some people already coming in. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are ready for you. Our guest is ready as well. We are excited about this evening, this afternoon that we can come to you. So thank you, Christine, that you're already here with us as well. And we're looking forward to a good evening together. So I'm sure just a few are coming up any minute, just 2 minutes, but I hope you're keeping well wherever you are. I trust that you're keeping well wherever you are. And in this season, which is not so easy, but we are here and we are in it. So we have to make the best that we can get from it. And so I want to trust that we are getting you live, getting you well, getting you encouraged. I don't know how your day was like. I don't know how your week has been. I don't know how your month has been. I don't know how your 3 months, because we are going to 3 months already. You know, since we started, since the first case of COVID was reported, and unfortunately, the last few days numbers continue on. But we have to keep on. We have to keep going. We have to keep strong. We have to think. We have to ask God to help us. So how do we move? Where do we move? And we just thought that we cannot be quiet about relationships. You know, we cannot be quiet simply because we are locked. I mean, partially locked down. Many people still not going to the offices. A lot of business affected. But we know that even as we continue on and everything is happening, there are people in relationships, and we are not going to say now we stop relating and wait until we are back to normal. Remember, we said it's a new normal, so it will actually be the new normal. We cannot just keep quiet when it comes to relationships. We know people are still going on relating. And so today we wanted to talk about a topic. One of the things we've been doing this month of May, we've been hosting, but it has been on private Zoom. But we had you, and they said, no, we need to reach more people. It's easier to reach more people on Facebook Live. So that's why we are here. And so for the last two, before I get to recapping, so that I may not recap everything, those who are there got to get it. But let me first introduce myself. So I'm Pauline, and I'm a counselor by profession. I'm passionate about marriage and pre-marriage. And like we have said over the week, we have a guest with us because of the topic we are discussing this evening, red flags, and she will share her story a little later. But I just want to welcome you, Christine. How are you, Christine?
I'm very well and excited to be here. Excited to come and share with just the young people, so that then we can trust that the Lord will just impact someone and they can make better decisions than I did back in the day. Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. So maybe you want to tell them what you do? Great.
All right. Okay. So I am Christine Hito Karaoke. I am a mother of one, but most important of all, I am born again. Christ is Lord. And I love just serving him by pouring out my life to this generation and making an impact using what I have learned through my experiences. Aside from that, I work in a school. I am a school secretary and assistant administrator at a school somewhere in Meru. Yep.
Wow, wonderful. So how is Meru? How is the situation right now?
Meru, things are running on as normal apart from the curfew, the evening curfew. Everything else is ase kawaida. People, I think, just it hasn't hit home yet that we are in a COVID situation. But as for the school, definitely things are not on the move, so it's very dull and boring out here. But yeah, we trust the Lord for the best. We continue trusting the Lord for the best. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wonderful. Yeah, indeed, because it's countrywide, it's worldwide, so we're in this all together. You know,
Yes,
nobody is
we
better
are.
off than the other. Yeah, thank you, Christine. Thank you for that. So yeah,
Well,
so time moves very fast. I mean, that's what we realized the last 2 Fridays. We just like, oh, it's already 50. So allow us to just continue. What I was saying is these 4 weeks, what we have been dealing with is before I say I do. And so the very first Friday, what we talked about is what is it that what is the most important thing to first do, even before the thought of saying I do. So of course we talked about understanding yourself, what are my values, what are my non-negotiables, understanding your background, how are you raised, how is your, because you're the third generation, how are my parents, family, how are their siblings, and then what about my grandparents, but their parents, my parents' parents. Just understanding them and understanding well about your family. Because at times we think we're just from that nuclear family, but it's very important to realize that we are our environments. You know, where I come from dictates so much, how I was brought up, you know, how my parents related with their parents is so much in how they possibly brought me up. So it's very good to understand that. Now, the other thing we talked about is it's very important to understand if you're dating or already courting and maybe have not yet really understood the background of the person you're dating. Just like you have understood your background, it's very important to understand. Of course, get to know what are his values. You know, we talked about get to know about his non-negotiables as well. And then what about his background? Just the way you have been able to know, to understand, fine, I'm the third generation. What about my parents' family? You know, taking understanding from his side and even him understanding from your side. If you're a lady, whichever gender you are, you need to understand what kind of family does he come from. Is it a polygamous family? Is it a family which had maybe many people who struggle with alcohol in that family? Is there a lot of maybe marital issues? Are there many families which are, you know, unstable marriages? It's not so that you say you will not marry that person. But what happens when you're aware of the person's background, the person you're dating, the person you're courting, then you're able to know, oh, so this is where I'm getting to. So what it becomes, because what means is if I'm brought up in a family, maybe with, for example, let me just use alcohol, maybe there's a lot of alcoholism, it means that I could be easily predisposed to that. And so I need to know, what does that mean? I need to know some people are struggling today, not because they want to, but because they are more predisposed and they got into the habit and then it overtook them. But when you are aware, you almost know, I cannot do this, I cannot do too much because I can easily end up. So it's just a matter of understanding. How do they resolve conflicts? How does she in their family, how do they resolve conflicts? You need to understand so that you almost are getting a sketch of who you're actually dating. So those are some of the preliminary things we talked about that you need to do. And then last Friday, we were talking about what does it actually mean to say, I do? You know, you go to the altar and you go and say that I do. And it's normally such a beautiful time and everybody looks forward, all the cameraman men are there. But is it just a show? Is it just the gist of the wedding? Is it just for the sake of saying it? But what does it actually mean? So we also had Pastor Milton who came to share with us his what it actually means through his experience. But some of the things that we put down, 3 things that I shared about what it actually means to say I do is, and I use the acronym IDO. I do. I like acronyms. Even today, that's what I use. Is that you're saying, when you're saying I do, when you're right there holding that ring, what you're saying that is that I endorse this relationship and I want it until death do us part. So however it is, whether it was, I was not very happy in this dating relationship, whether I was not happy when we were courting, whether he was not good to me, whether she was not good to me, whether she was not respecting me, whether he was not respecting me, whatever it was, however that courtship was, however the dating was, because at times, of course, we are not able to demarcate like, this is when I was dating, this is when I was courting. But what you're saying is, I endorse it. As you put down, you're saying, I do, I do, I do. And then the D, it means that you'll deliberately give 100% of your spouse, of yourself to your spouse, even when they fall short. Remember, marriage is not, you don't give 50 and the other one 50. Marriage is 100, and then you become one. And so what you're saying is, however, with his shortfalls, with her shortfalls, however she is, I want to say that I will give of myself 100%. And then the O, it means that you will openly protect your spouse, regardless. You will not go out there and speak against him. I will not go, he will not also go out there and speak against me. As much as maybe I'm not too happy, it means that I will not do that because I am endorsing this relationship. So we were trying to say that is the seriousness about saying I do. And one thing as we dive into red flags, because that's where we are going, one thing I want to tell anyone who is not married, and I say it and I say it a lot, is that I want you to know you are at a very good place right now. You know, somebody said, and that, you know, at times you really desire to get in. Of course, people say those who are in want to go out, but I want to believe, and that's my desire, that will not be the scenario, and that should not be the scenario as much as it could be the scenario. But what I want to say is, when you're at a point where you can actually say, I don't think I can go ahead with this, or I really want to get. So God has given you a position away from the covenant, because it's a covenant. One of the things our guest of last Friday said, you know, a covenant, it's like when you do a covenant, it's like you die to it. You know, you give your all to it, and so it's a serious thing. And so being out of it and being enlightened, being told maybe what it entails, will help you to make that informed decision. So allow me, one of the things we had put down is about, as we continued over the week, is what is really red flags. You know, we keep talking about what are red flags and everything, but we said that red flags are actions or signs that warn someone of danger. You know, you just realize, oh God, there's danger there. You know, they come out. Some are very, very clear. Now, one of the things I've said that I'm a counselor, one of the things we do when we are doing couple counseling is we always, even if it's individual counseling of someone who is married, is that we take the history of that person. You know, we want to understand, how did you begin? You know, if it's a marital issue, how did you begin? How was your courtship like? And I want to believe that anybody who is married here will bear with me. Let me put it even at 80%. That's 80%. I would want to put it at 90, but 80% of most of the things we see in marriage, we actually saw before we got into that relationship. It was there. As much as some we saw and probably said, no, this will pass. And those are one of the things we're going to say. But we actually saw it. But then we decided, we because of the things we'll also be talking about today, we still went ahead. And so we get into a covenant, and of course, we'll be talking about marriage much later in maybe the coming month. But for now, we want to deal with those red flags. Remember, we said those are the signs. They are the actions which we actually see. We've already seen. I see her behaving this way when we are dating. I see him behaving this way and when we are dating. So let me dive into what really makes people ignore red flags. You know, the red flags are there. You're in this relationship. I can see this man does not respect me. This man does not respect my time, does not respect me, is not apologetic. Those are some of the things we talk about again. But I still go on. What makes you as a lady, what makes you as a young man, a gentleman who is desiring marriage, what makes you ignore those red flags? So, and I will use the acronym. I said again, I like acronyms. I'll use the red. I'll start with red. Red to give us the reasons why we assume the red flags. One of them is that we say there'll be room for change. That is R, and I want to use acronyms so that you don't forget. So one of the things is there'll be room for change. He'll change. She'll change. You know, as a lady, I might say, when we get in and I get a baby, probably he'll see there's responsibility and change. You know, when the man maybe say, she was probably proud. She was not respectful. She was not whatever she was before. You say, when I get her to my house, she will have to just respect my rules. So we normally say that there will be room for change. And so we ignore those red flags. You know, let me say something here. You see, when it comes to character, there's there's no there's nothing you can do for someone else to change their character. Now, character can only be changed by the individual. You know, I can say I will unlearn things that I do. I decide just the way we say from today henceforth I'll be jogging. It's a personal thing. Nobody will come and tell me start jogging. Okay, the doctor may tell me, but I can still say maybe not, maybe not. So character issues, when we say that there'll be room for change, or he will change, or she will change, that is one of the reasons why we think there'll be time for them to change. The E on red is that most of the times why we ignore red flags is that we are normally emotionally unstable. You know, at that point, when you can see a red flag and go ahead, then there must be some emotional instability or instability, in English, instability. You're emotionally unstable. Something is not right. Possibly, I am going through a heartache. Maybe I was in a relationship, and I came out of it, and maybe she said she's done with me, or he said I'm done with you. And then what happens is I get in another relationship very quickly, what we call rebound. And so when I get into that relationship, because it's a way of running away, it's not that I actually love this other person, but I'm running away. And so now, because I've gotten a new catch, I can just, as it's okay, I just get married, and I'm sure Christine will share a bit of that. Let me just be in this relationship. Let me just get married. I'm so hurt. How could I have been dumped? And so you have not dealt with that loss because it's a loss. You are in a relationship. It's a loss. I always tell people that once I was dumped, I had to go through the healing. It's something you need to go through. And you might be, maybe you went through a grief. Maybe you lost somebody. You don't want to face it. Not just the relationship, but actually by death. And so you're not emotionally stable. And so it's very easy for you to assume red flags. You're still hanging there. Another one could be unresolved issues. Growing up, maybe you grew up with a dad who was not good to you or something like that. And so it's not resolved. You're still not bitter. And so whoever comes, even if he's a person, a man, if now you're a lady, if it's a man who does not really respect you, you still say, it's okay. That's what I know anyway. I don't know a loving person. And so you're emotionally unstable. You're not healthy. You can't be in a healthy relationship. And so you easily can ignore. And so if you're such a person, it's very important to seek help. Seek help, so that you deal with those issues, so that you don't again get into a relationship and then into marriage with that baggage. Now, that is a red flag. That is one of the reasons why we ignore when we are emotionally unstable. Now, the D of why we ignore red flags is that we are desperate. I might be desperate as a person. The age is catching up with me. Whoever comes, it's okay. And so you're like, I would rather be in this one, better the devil. Those things, better the devil I know. And then you just stay there. I need to get married. The clock is ticking. I need to be there. And so you ignore that red flag. You have pressure from without. You're probably being told by your family, when are you bringing somebody? If you're the firstborn man, when are you bringing somebody? We need somebody. Is everything okay? And so you get desperate. I need to get to this. So whoever comes, you take. And of course, maybe you also don't have non-negotiables, so you take, because probably, you remember one of the things we said in the preliminaries, you need to know what are my values, what are my non-negotiables. So you don't have them, and then you just say, and then desperation sets in, and so you continue on in this relationship where there's a lot of red flags. And then another thing would be, maybe you have compromised your body. You've been in this relationship, you're dating, you're courting, you have compromised you've become intimate already, and you're like, now how can I go removing clothes to somebody else? Let me just get married to this person. Some people get a child out of a relationship. A child is not a basis to get married if it was not a marriage relationship. Of course, it's good for the dad of the child would continue being a parent to that child. But was it for a marriage relationship? Is it why you're ignoring the red flags? So those are some of the reasons why we ignore. Now, let me go quickly through some of the things to look out for as red flags. And then we are going to get our guests coming in. I know you're really looking forward. I look forward to people sharing their lives, because when you share, someone else is encouraged, someone else is challenged. And so it's very, very important. And so what to look out for? Because you're wondering, okay, red flags. This one, we always talk about red flags. So what are these signs? What are these actions that I do? And please allow me to put on I hear some distractions of noise, my earphones. Yeah, so am I being heard, Christine?
You're clear enough. You're clear enough.
Yeah, so allow me to go through what to look out for as red flags, because you might be asking what could they be. So one of the things, if you're in a relationship, in a dating relationship, or in a courtship, or even looking forward to one day, one of the things to look out for is, who are the friends of that person? If it's a lady, who are her friends? If it's a man, who are his friends? Because we say we will know you by the company that you keep. So don't ignore, don't say maybe he's just with them for a while, maybe she's just with them for a while. It's very important to know who are his friends. How does he treat people? How does he treat those people? Maybe there are people, they're not his friends, but they're other people. How does he treat people that are not of his class? There are people you maybe you're dating, you're on a date, and then you see someone. Maybe I see someone, and then I'm a lady, and then I say, what's wrong with that man? How can he be like that? Is he okay? What does that say? Now, remember, when we are saying our marriage vows, we always say for better, for worse. Now, you might be at the same class as you're dating, but what does that tell you? When someone makes a negative comment about people, what does that say? If anything ever happened, if we went down one day, it means you'll not respect me anymore. Then, if it's the vice versa, if he says that about people negative, he goes, meets people who guard a building and say, we guard na yeah. Because life happens. How does he treat people? How does he talk about people? So look at his friends. That is the F. The acronym here is flags. So F, who are his friends? And under friends is the people. Also talk about people. How does he treat people? What about his family? Still under there. How does he relate with his family? Look at that. Is he respectful to his family? Because someone who does not respect his family, how do they respect you really? So that is something you can easily, that's a red flag right there. Be very keen on finding out. And don't say he doesn't have many friends. He must have a friend or two. So look out and go. Even someone maybe who is in another country, look out for someone just to be a friend. So how understand who does he hang? Don't just say he's good, he's fine. No, or he's quiet, Now the L, another red flag is to look out for is his loyalty or her loyalty. Is she loyal? And loyal here means, are they faithful? When you talk about something, do they keep their promise? Does he come or does she come? You've talked about something, maybe you've given each other an assignment. Go and look up, maybe like the one I was saying, let's draw a family tree of your side draw. And then he comes and says, oh, I didn't have time. All the time of the time. Or she does that. Is she loyal? Now, if she's not loyal or he is not loyal before, how much more? And and I'm not talking about one thing. And let me put a disclaimer here. I'm not saying that we are marrying perfect people or we are going to date perfect people. Nobody is perfect. You're not perfect either. But we are saying there are those things that we cannot afford to overlook. And that's why there's that time before marriage. So his time, is he consistent? Because value shows, one of the value is loyalty, is faithfulness. Does he have it? Is he loyal with time when it's your time to date? Does he come on time, or is it or for your 50 dates, he has always come 1 hour late, and you still condone that before marriage? It means he doesn't value your time. One person said that excuse me. One person said that if someone does not value your time, it's one guest I had some time, that's a sign of an abuser. He's abusing your time. He doesn't value you. Because if he can value work, value his family, but he doesn't value your time, that's a sign of an abuser. Is he loyal? Is she loyal as you go on in the relationship? The third thing, which is the A in flags, do they apologize? And I know there's this common phrase of African men don't apologize, but I know there are ladies who do not apologize. Does she apologize? Or is it that every time she's done wrong, she blames somebody? I mean, every time there's something, oh, it's so and so who made me do it. If it was not you, I would not have done it. Now you, the man, do you always say that? Do you blame? Are you keen enough to say, I apologize? Do you own up as a lady? And remember, we are talking before marriage. You've had time, you're having a time of courtship, you're having a time of dating, of knowing one another. Do they apologize? Just take a track. Is it always a blame game? Is it always, if it was not so and so, if we hadn't done that, if we didn't go there, if we didn't plan the ratio that way, it would not have gone? Is it always a blame game? Are they ready to apologize? I know apologizing is difficult, and it starts from when we are very young. My children are very young, and they started. It's a difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. It's a deliberate thing. But it not being easy does not mean it should not be said. If they value you, they need to apologize. So be keen. Take history and see, have I always, or are you the only one who apologizes? Because again, there's manipulation at times in relationships that you always, oh, let me just say sorry to keep it. That's a red flag right there. Check on that. The other thing, the fourth thing on flag is your gut feeling. What to look out for is a red flag, is what we are saying. Now, if your gut feeling, and a gut feeling is that immediate or basic feeling, and I always say, like for Christians, I want to, you can attest, it's the Holy Spirit many times, and it is, that immediate feeling. You're always so uncomfortable. Oh God, you're going to meet him. You're going to meet her now. What is she doing? Okay, who is she with? You're uncomfortable. Okay, he never picked my calls. She never, and I'm not saying you have to pick calls when you're dating all the time, or when you're courting. But I'm saying, how comes you're not comfortable? How comes you feel you don't feel peaceful? Now, you can't afford to ignore your gut feeling. What you do is find out, why do I feel the way I do? And I'm not saying you put a trap. No. If you're true in your relationship, and that's one of the things we discussed the other 2 Fridays, you will have to you will have to know that God will not allow you not to know. If you are true as a person. And I remember giving an episode of having a kind of that kind of a circumstance. Maybe I can share it quickly, where this gentleman would always come, and I thought he's a charming person. I'm not married. We always share scripture verses. And born again ladies, remember, what you like most is what also comes first. So scripture, would discuss. One day he even brought me his cousin, and not his cousin, his aunt, to say hi to me in the office. And I thought, wow, this gentleman is just amazing. He's even making me know his aunt even before we've even started dating, because we hadn't even started dating. And so what happened, about maybe 2 weeks later, the aunt visited and the person was not around. And so what happened is the aunt came to me, because she had already been introduced to me. And so she said, oh, hi, I'd come to see so and so, but then I decided to come and say hi. Oh, lovely. Oh, then I don't know what we talked about. She told me the way the gentleman really helps them at home. I said, that is really nice. And then she said, but he can't help so much, because you see, he has to take care of his wife. He has to take care of his children. He had never mentioned to me that he was married. And but I was true. I meant it. We hadn't started dating or courting, but we were in a relationship that would have grown to that. But God would not have let me not know. He had to make sure he has introduced the aunt, and of course, what followed is, of course, when he came, I just said, really, So if you're true, that you will get to know, especially when you're already dating or courting, that gut feeling. Don't ignore it. Check what could be the reason why you're feeling it. Somebody who always isolates you from your friends, don't be with that friend. Don't be with that. I don't like you with those girlfriends of yours. Don't be in that charmer anymore. You as a lady telling your gentleman, I don't like your friends, for no good reason. And it's not wrong for someone to say, I have a problem with your friends. But if it's for no good reason, then that person wants you to isolate you from your world. If there's no good reason and you're not comfortable with that, just find out more. What could it be? Could it be something being hidden by him or her? So your gut feeling, you can't afford to ignore it. Now, the other thing is the S in flags, the last one on the acronym flags, is check their spirituality. Everybody has a spirituality. Everybody has the God they believe in. So if you're a Christian, then you need to know, how is his life? How is her life? How is her prayer life? How is his prayer life? How are they growing? Do they do fellowship? Where do they worship? What do they do where they worship? Don't take it. That is something you can't afford to compromise with. That is foundation for your marriage. So you need to understand. Don't just say, oh, he tells me he goes to church. You've never even said, can we maybe go to your church one day? Or maybe the lady, can we go to your church one day? And then you might go there and find, actually, no one knows him. And I'm not saying you need to be known by everybody in your church, but you need to have a relationship with people in your church. So don't say he's born again. He has come and told me I'm born again. Or she has come and told me I'm born again. We cannot hide with born again. Born again is not marriage. You need to know what born again is. What Christian is this? So don't look out for how is their spiritual life. And someone cannot pretend for so long. I mean, if you date for a whole year, someone cannot pretend going for Bible study and it is not in their thing for too long. You will get to know. So find out. And if you have questions about it, right there is a red flag. So the friends, are they loyal? Do they apologize? Your gut feeling, your spirituality, of course, we have expounded more on them. We need to find out. am I ready? And remember, we said when we have these red flags, and there are many more, of course, going to marriage with that person, going to the altar. You know, I always like to demonstrate when you're putting down your ring, you're saying that if my ring is being seen well, that I accept you with all that, with the lies, your lateness, you do not respect me, you do not apologize to me, you never own up, you're just saying, I do. And so we cannot afford to ignore red flags, because what happens, and we'll be talking later, is that they magnify, because you have said I do. And so you're in the house together, they will magnify it. You don't go to the altar to alter somebody, to change somebody. You cannot. Of course, if it was someone who was not well dressed, you can say, I always tell people, like my husband used to different colors. So I used to, at least I love matching those who know. So I would say, at least for clothes you can, those ones are not red flags, but character are red flags. So are you going to go on and say, yes, I do? He will change. There will be time, or she will change. Think about that. Now, Christine, I know you've been quiet for some time. Thank you for just listening in. I just want you to tell us, maybe you can introduce to us about how had you visualized marriage when you were growing up?
All right. Now I need to start here. I was brought up in a single mom family. My mom is a single mom, and she had many siblings. And there were marriages. Some were married. Some their husbands were widows. Some were single moms. There was this beautiful wedding we once had, and it was something, to behold. And I really desired to have a beautiful wedding. But I will lie if I say I actually thought through what marriage then meant. I mean, I got into a relationship pretty young, so I may lie if I say I had a really set picture of it all. Yeah.
Wow. So you actually had not, so you get into a relationship and get into this marriage, but you had never really visualized about it.
No, I had not visualized. And I like saying this. I didn't get into marriage. I didn't walk into it. It wasn't in the agenda. I kind of fell into it. Yeah.
You fell into it. So maybe you can continue on from there. Tell us about your dating and courting, and then how you fell into it.
All right. And then you'll check your volumes because I can't hear you clearly.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So about when I was about 19, 20 years old, I was living with my auntie, and she happened to be unwell at that time. And so I was helping take care of her. At the same time, I had a job, but basically I'd come back home to be a caregiver and all that stuff. And so one weekend, my mom, my auntie was my mother's sister, so she was my maternal auntie. And so one weekend, my mom and her siblings offered to come and take care of her. And I got like a break, like the way you just need to breathe from all that had been going on. I need to change the screen so that I stop looking there. Now, so this Saturday weekend, my neighbors invited me to go out with them for a birthday party. And so, yeah, I went. It was a nice time. We enjoyed ourselves. We went out. I got to meet new people. And out of these new people was this handsome man. I loved his eyebrows. They were really, really cute. And we got to talk, but there was nothing as such, as in, it was just still a hi, how are you? Exchange numbers, nothing serious. Then I went home in the evening. They went out for the night, but I didn't. I had to go back home. So I go back home. We spend the weekend with my folks, and on Sunday they all go away. So we're left with my auntie. I think one of my aunties was left behind. So she left on Monday. So I was left with my usual family. That's my auntie, her daughter, and the house help. And then, oh yeah, there was another auntie still visiting. So we were left. Unfortunately, somewhere in the middle of the night, this is now on Monday night, my auntie kind of got sick. Really, now she got worse. And so we rushed her to the hospital. And in the morning, she didn't make it. So she passed on. When she passed on, definitely, by the time she was passing on, I had taken her to the hospital, gone back home, changed, and gone to work. I did not know this would play out to death. I honestly never imagined it would play out to that. So she passed on while I was away. And then I call and I am told she's passed on. So the family organized for someone to pick me from work and take me to the hospital. And so, yeah, we did what needed to be done at the hospital and small fellowship here and there. And then finally we went back home to where we used to have. Now, you know, it is in the Kenyan setup when somebody dies, the way everybody meets at their place that time. So by the time we were driving in, there was cars already that had, you know, like assembled outside my auntie's place. And I remember somebody telling me, you have to be very strong for the kids, which was okay at that time. And I was strong. But then the challenge was immediately I got in from the first person who talked to me. The question was, what happened? The second person, what happened? By the time I was at the third person, I was done. Like, I honestly don't want to keep reliving this. I am already in pain. I am trying to hold back whatever it is I'm feeling. I am very confused because this was the first close death that I had been through. So I just wanted out. And I remember that day I walked out and I went, hung out with some friends. But in the morning, remember the number I had been given over the weekend? In the morning when I came from the hospital, after leaving my auntie now admitted, I called this guy that I met on Saturday. And I told him what had transpired during the night. And he was all nice. Pole sana, you know, it shall be well, you know, when you check on your auntie, let me know how she's doing. And then maybe let's meet up sometime. So Tuesday evening, I hung out with my friends, come back home late. Definitely people are busy. So people did not really notice I've come home late and all that stuff. It was just, oh, you come, rest, good. So the next day, I chose to go and visit this guy. Please note, I chose to go and visit the guy.
You took yourself.
Please note, I chose to call the guy also. He did not call me. I chose to go. I'm the one who took myself. So I went to see the guy, and that's how the relationship started. I don't know. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to start, definitely, but that's the way it started. So I would hang out at his workplace a lot, kind of just running away from this scenario where we are having a maombolezi at home, and I don't want to keep talking to guys. I don't want to keep explaining. This whole thing feels weird to me at that point. So that's how that relationship started.
Wow. So it's
yes, dear.
No, I like your emphasis on that's something to note, that you don't blame anyone, that no. It's not anybody who took me there, but I took myself. So so fine, you take yourself and the relationship started there. So how did it so did you go start living there? Did you date? How was now the relationship as you planned to now? Yeah.
All right. So so my auntie is buried, and life has to go on, right? So now she had passed on, and her husband had also passed on a while back. So the kids needed to move to their relatives that's now on their father's side. I had to move in with my auntie, another auntie, because then you remember, as much as I'm working, I wasn't ready to move because then I was taking care of someone. So I hadn't been planning moving out or anything. So I moved in with my auntie, and this particular auntie is a dear auntie of mine. She took me in, but in a time when she was also in a lot of pain. Now, she had lost her sibling, just like I had lost an auntie. But worse still, she had also lost her husband, or her husband had passed away a few months before. So she was going through her own amount of pain. And I was going through my own amount of pain. So there was I still didn't have that outlet. Like I couldn't tell her, this is what I'm going through and this is how I feel. So we kind of had a very icy relationship back then because we were both in pain. So our relationship was pretty icy. So I still chose to spend more time with this guy. So I'd do my work hours, late hours, and then any free time I had, I would spend with this guy.
So the relationship kept growing?
Now it started growing because then we are spending a lot of our time together. Now, I need to give a background maybe of where he was coming from. So I was coming from a point of loss, but really not wanting to deal with that loss. Now, he was coming from a broken relationship with his colleague. So he was hurting, but trying to get out of it, trying to look for a way out, you know. But he'd been hurt so badly in that relationship that he had no faith in, okay, like he developed insecurities. Let me put it that way. He developed insecurities. So as much as he was in the relationship, he had a hard time trusting. How do I put it? He was very sensitive about who is around us. What are we saying to them? What am I doing with them? And that kind of thing. So anyway, we moved I moved to my auntie's place and we're staying with my auntie. Remember, I liked spending my free time with this guy. So one time, he invites me to a friend's wedding. And this was to be like our first serious date, you know, like the serious one. So he invites me for his friend's wedding and we go. And so he liked sitting down and just, we went for the evening party. We didn't even go for the wedding itself. So when we went for the evening party, he preferred to sit on the counter and have his drink. Now, anybody who knows me, I am a sanguine. I want the party. I want to dance. I want to meet people. I want to, just interact with people and have fun.
Yes.
So I chose to hit the dance floor with his friends, like the guys we came in with. So we danced on and on and on. And I think at some point he got annoyed. So he decided to come over and give me a very nice hot slap. And he gave me a slap and literally walked out. He walked out and he was leaving. So I followed him. Because, after all, you're the one who invited me here and all that stuff. So we had our beef, we argued all the way from where the party was. I remember it was outside Nairobi town. I don't remember exactly where. I think one of these days, I'll reach out to a friend to remind me where it was. And so we go to town. And I remember in town very clearly apologizing. But I did not know why I was apologizing. Because I couldn't understand. I was just dancing. I wasn't even, there's what people do, like you dirty dance or you do funny things. I was simply dancing. And I was dancing with people who I knew before because then there used to be a place we would hang out. My cousin had like a pub, so we would go hang out. As much as I was not like a person who would drink a lot, but I would go hang out. That's family place and all that stuff. So these were people from that place. So I didn't understand why he got personal, but I apologized and followed him home. And so that became our beginning of the violence because I had already accepted it. It was it. So fast forward, I'm still in and out of my auntie's house in a very disrespectful way, where I just disappear. I've not told her I'm not coming home. I've not told her anything. I just disappear. So I believe it was a Easter weekend. I disappeared, and she didn't know where I was. And back in the day, it's not like I had a phone where she would easily reach me. I think I got a phone a little later than that. I still didn't have, like, there was no way she would really reach me. So I remember she told her employee in the house at that time to tell me when I come to just go back to where I was coming from, like just go back. So I came home and she was not home, and the guy told me, hey, your auntie said, well, Kikuja, just go back to where you're coming from. And definitely, there was that rebellion in me, that thing of, after all, wait, even before the rebellion, there was the fear. Like, what are we going to sit down and discuss? Remember, our relationship was very icy. It was really icy. So what are we going to sit down and discuss? So what I did is just pick my things. And I went. My guy was there ready for me, open arms. And that's how I got married.
Then you got married. So
In
you
short,
got... All right.
Yeah.
So if those who began with us earlier realize that from Christine's story, one of the things that we can pick from what we've discussed earlier is, remember, Christine was mourning, and remember she said that the gentleman had she was in this relationship as a rebound. He had come from a relationship, been hurt from a relationship, and got into this relationship. So we always say that hurt people hurt others. So he had not dealt with his heart, with feeling hurt. And Wahito, also through a loss, a loss of her very close aunt who she was taking care of, also got that passed on, and she never processed the death of the aunt. So remember, one of the things we said, why we continue in red flags is when we are emotionally unstable. And so you just want to be there. Let me just be there. Now look at it. Waheto gets a slap from this gentleman in front of people, but then she goes and still apologizes. So their manipulation has already begun. You see, he has not apologized. And even if he apologized for her, for slapping her, now I'm not sure whether you still want to get into marriage when you have a slap. But Waheto continues because she's still not processed what she's going through, and starts living with this man. And she tells me they start, of course, planning to want to do so after that, is it when you started wanting to plan to do the traditional wedding?
No. We stayed for quite a while. We stayed for a number of years. And the relationship was still violent, on and off. He'd get violent here. Basically, anytime he was high, like drunk, things would go south. So anytime would either go to the club together or he'd go alone, things would get a bit messy for us. So at some point I walked out after, I think, about a year. I'm not very sure of the timings. At some point, after talking with my cousins and talking with my family, I walked out and I asked my family, hey, you guys help me out. I need to move out. I can't stay in this relationship again. So my family was gracious enough to reach out, and one of my cousins who had rental houses gave me a rental house somewhere, and I was able to stay there. But now, I stayed there and was supposed to be dealing with my heart, with my pain. But instead of dealing with my pain, I was all over the place. I was all over the place clubbing. I was all over the place, just having sort of numbing the pain with fun. Any relationship breaking hurts to some extent. So I was just out there numbing the pain with entertainment. But definitely, and then again, he was also still reaching out. he was still like, we can work it out. We can work it out. So the first month he's there, we can work it out, Hito. We can, come on, we can do this. Second month, we can do this. We can work it out. Third month, I gave in. I actually gave in on my birthday. I'll never forget. Nilinunuliwa keki, nikajisahau. Those who know me well know my issues with wheat. I love my wheat. So nilinunuliwa chocolate cake, nikarudi tu roho safi. So when I went back, after a few weeks, the violence started again. And he'd ask, who told you to come back? And I would be like, see, you told me to come back, And now this was that point where the entire family is just disappointed in you. Like, honestly, how do we help you? You went into a relationship, it's violent, it is, and you've taken yourself back. Now, how do we help you? So I also could not go back to my family. I had to make this work. It had to work. Somehow, it had to work. So, calm strategy. Okay? So we started talking marriage. I think I pushed the idea of a wedding much more. The second time when I came in, I pushed the idea a lot. And then
what did you think doing a wedding would change? Why were you pushing?
No, I think wedding was just status. The way everybody wants, every girl wants a wedding. That was not going to change anything. I just knew I am definitely going to get married to this guy. So we need to do a wedding like everybody else does.
So
but
what, sorry?
The thing I believed would change him or change our relationship, let me call it change our relationship, was having a child. So first I pushed for the wedding idea, which he was for, which then we went the Kikuyu style first. Their people came home for a rurashio, but we were not able to move from the rurashio onwards. That kind of died at that point. So I decided that I should get pregnant. I think that would help the relationship. So yeah, I got pregnant. Unfortunately, I had a miscarriage. So we stayed on a little bit. The relationship was still drama here, drama there, So I got pregnant the second time. And now I got my little angel. But the season of pregnancy was also very chaotic. It had a lot of drama. And remember this, I can't go back to my family. Like, narudi aje. But now this time when I got pregnant, my mom was kind of more involved now, because then I think I was a bit more delicate and I would share a little more than I would before.
Yes.
So whatever was going on in our house, I'd be able to tell to mom and just tell her, this happened today. And she would calm me down, this can happen, that kind of thing. We went through a rough patch, especially during that pregnancy season. He lost his job. He had to look for another job. We had to move houses. And as it was taking a toll on him, for me, the pregnancy took a toll on me, because then he was carrying the weight in terms of, he was still, I think, drinking actually even more. He was out of the house. He would disappear on weekends and stuff like that. That's where it was taking a toll on me. On his end, what was taking a toll on him was there was now pressure, because the family knows there's a lady involved. There was pressure. What's next for you? Then there was also pressure of, I have lost my job and I need to sustain my family, and things are not out. And then the people he thought would stand by him then were not doing it. So the more he got disappointed, or the more things turned south, the more he drank, the more he got violent, the more it got crazy.
The more it got crazy. Okay, Christine, maybe you could fast forward to you. At some point, you got a job that you were traveling.
Okay. So after my baby was born, I got a job. I got a job offer. Let me call it a job offer from my sister. I got a job offer to be an executive officer of one of the the associations in Kenya that deal with the schools like the one I work in. And so when I got that offer, it meant that I would need to travel to different regions for meetings, to organize expos and workshops and things like that. So we sat down as a family. We sat down, me and him, and we talked about it. And I asked him, are you okay with me traveling? Are you okay with me taking me up and down? And remember, this was at a time when we were financially, at nearly rock bottom. And he said, yeah, it's okay. You can take the job. We really need it. It will help us. So I took on the job. Definitely being at the head of such an organization meant I was doing longer hours and meant I was traveling. By that time, our daughter was 1, or I think I joined it before she was 1. But it was about that season 1 to, I think I left that place when she was 2. Yeah. So when she was 3, I believe. So I took on the job, and I would be traveling, and I would be working late. And I remember, instead of it now bringing some peace in the house, things got worse, because then the insecurity was still there. So I would get home, especially if I got home late, whatever time to him was late, then it would bring drama. I remember one day I was locked out of the house. And I'm being locked out of the house. I haven't seen my baby the whole day. I don't know what was on the whole day, because then I was at work. And it was very embarrassing for me, in front of the house help. Well, finally he opened, but definitely there was drama. There was a bit of violence still there. So we move on, and now it would be, he will even go out himself, come back. I remember there are days he would go drink, then come open the door and just fall at the door. So you pull him in, and because you don't want war, you just pull him in a little bit, enough for you to close the door. You're done with that story. He will get himself to bed if he's able to. That's how it would work. So anyway, I traveled to Eldoret at some point to a meeting, and I left him with a baby and the house girl. Then we discussed on phone, and we're like, it's not a good idea, because I was going to travel again to Mombasa to work, and I'd be in Mombasa for nearly a week. So the best thing was for him to maybe have the child move to my mom's place, because his mom is elderly. So we said, she may not be able to take care of the baby. Because my mom is a bit younger than her, let my mom take the baby. So he organized, and the baby and the house help were able to go home. And everything was okay. We were in communication, we were well. But still, we were well according to our standard of drama here, drama there, some semblance of peace, then drama here, drama there, some semblance of peace. When I came back from LD, the song of insecurities, which had been our song from the beginning. You remember at the dance, the issue was maybe he thought me and his friends were getting down or something. That song had continued. Now it had really build, and he believed that I was dating one of my bosses or something, and he kept repeating it, repeating. And at some point I just told him, you know what, boss, yeah, fine, I'm doing it, so what? It was out of spite. It was not a reality. It was totally out of spite. But I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep. And I kept on telling him, even in our conversations, you know what, this bottle is going to explode at some point. Because we can't keep on going through the same things. We just can't. So from I was to travel from Mombasa the next day. So woke up in the morning, had had a very argumentative night back and forth. I actually told him those words in the morning when I was leaving. So I left because if I told him that, hey, tukiwa sisi wawili, man, I wouldn't be here telling you the story. So I went to work, prepared myself for going to Mombasa. In the day, just as was normal, when he was sober, he would call me and tell me, no, it's okay, we can work this out. Let's talk. I really want us to talk. I really want us to figure our lives out and, just discuss what happened, And so I told him, okay, fine. I am traveling at 10 p.m. to Mombasa. Let's meet at 7. While I prepare myself now, after I'm done with the office, while I prepare myself to travel, then we can talk as we wait. So we met at 7, but I needed to go back to the office to do something. So we actually went with him and my colleague in the same taxi. And so my colleague was busy carrying stuff upstairs, and now me and him were following downstairs, And then on the stairs, he just decided to get violent. Now we have moved the violence from the house. It has come to the workplace. Remember, this is the job we are hanging on. This is the job that is paying our rent. This is the job that is feeding us. He had gotten, after he lost his job, I think just before Michelle, my daughter, was born, he would get jobs on and off. So at this time, he'd gotten a job, but he'd not even started earning like a salary.
So at what point, Christine, at what point did you just say enough?
That point. You see, what happened was he's hit me in the office. We've had commotions with even police coming in because of the chaos that was in the building where I was working. And then we've had to go to the police station, and then his sibling has come with a wife to sort out the case. And I was like, you know what? I've reached out to these guys enough to tell them that it's violent and they've not been doing anything. Me, I'm done. So for me, that was it. That was the end.
That's the end. So,
yes.
So how long ago was that?
I think Michelle is 15. I think 14 years ago.
So you have raised your daughter. You have been a single mom now for 14 years.
Yes.
For 14 years. Now, yes. Christine, what and I believe many young people are watching, and young ladies and young, and I mean they're looking at, of course, like me, saying, I mean, she's such a beautiful girl. Why would she go through that? Why would she allow herself to go through that? But remember the things, and I'm sure if you are not there with us from the start, you'll go through the messages of the things which make us not to see the red flag. But one thing I like about Christine, and I'm sure you got it from her story, is that she doesn't blame him. She blames herself. She said, I took myself. I was slapped and I agreed again. So what I would want to I want to give her 2 minutes as she wraps up. What would you tell Christine? What would you tell a young girl out there? What would you tell a young man out there about red flags?
Okay. I want to start by saying this. It takes two to tango. It takes two people to make it happen. All right? And the reason, just as you put it, the reason why we see the red flags and we still go in for it is because we also have our own red flags. You get? I mean, I was emotionally unstable completely. And I know I brought in my own sort of drama. You talked about even getting to know the person, getting to know their background. Our backgrounds were very different. So there was no way this was working, but we were both emotionally unstable. We could not see it. So what would I tell a young girl out there? What would I tell a young man out there? Number one, and this is so important. This is really important. Something that I am seeing today, and that is why we actually have a rise in failing marriages, is people are not walking into relationships. They're not walking into marriage. They're finding themselves or falling into marriage. So that it's circumstances that lead you to getting married. Just as you said, you get pregnant, you know, or you compromise, you get into bed with somebody, then what? You have to be with them. You feel that you feel like walking away will be betrayal. I mean, there's all that. We are basically falling into relationships instead of walking into relationships. Why do I say walking? Walking with your head high so that you're aware of what you're doing. You're totally aware. You're making the right decisions even as you walk in there. You're walking there with your eyes wide open, you know, and with your head, your brain totally functioning, making sure that you're checking everything that is going on to be sure that you're doing it for the right reasons and in the right way. That's the first thing I'd tell any young person out there. The second thing I would say, and this is especially to the girls, before you say yes, you know the way we love those engagement parties. I am queen of planning engagement parties. I love organizing them for my young people, and they know. But before you say yes to that ring, and remember, I'm not even talking about the wedding ring. Before you say yes to the engagement ring, sit down and look at this person. Sit down and weigh, what are the pros and cons? And do I really want this for life? Because just as Pauline put it, whatever you're seeing when you're dating, when you're courting, is gonna multiply. Because, and it's not gonna multiply. It's gonna multiply because there's a woman involved, and a woman is a nurturer. Kazi yetu ni kunacha whatever there is. Whatever we start that family with, we will nurture it. We'll make sure it grows. So if it is pain, like we got into a relationship that had pain, I am sure I played my own role in building that pain. You get what I mean? Wow. Whatever it is that you go in with, know as a woman, you're going to literally build it. So be very careful. Sit down and think through. Sit down and write it down. Wow. And then ask yourself from a sober point, is this what I really want? And don't just look at the person, because that's the other thing. We look at if I'm a lady, you look at the guy and you want him to be perfect. But are you perfect? Are you? Why don't you sit down and look at both sides? These are his pros and cons, and these are my pros and cons. And is this gonna work? What do I need to change? Because remember, you said, Pauline said that I can decide to change me and I will change, but I can't change the other person. You get?
Yeah.
So you need to do that weighing out. Now, number 3 is just that you cannot change the other person. Don't cheat yourself. Don't lie to yourself that you can change anyone. You can't. Only God can, and they can if they want. Right? And dear, my praying sister, my prayer warrior sister, God will change that person if he wants to, for his will, not for your will.
Wow.
That bubble needs to be busted. You can do all the praying you want in the prayer closet, but he will not do it for you to satisfy your will or your desperation.
Yeah.
He will do it for his will to glorify himself. And he will do it with the right path. You know, God, I was having this conversation and this discussion with somebody, and maybe Pauline, you can tell me even from your perspective, that every union, every marriage, God has a particular plan and purpose for it. That when he's putting Pauline and Humphrey together, he has a purpose for you guys to fulfill.
Yes.
So if a girl is pushing it or forcing it, praying through her own idols of the heart, and expects this person to change, I'm sorry, darling, it's not going to happen. Now, finally, umeona red flags, as in you've seen these are red flags. Like you can literally see this person does either not respect me, this person does not even respect themselves, this person is not loyal, this person says they're born again, but they're not walking the talk. Run. Please note, I didn't say, I said walk into the relationship. But run out as fast as you can once you notice this will just bring you pain. Because the minute you get in, this is how people die. Today I was sharing, when I was sharing the poster for this conversation earlier in the day, one of the groups that I was sharing in, the ladies in Meru, there was a post right below mine that talked about this lady who'd been, I don't even know what to call it, who'd been tortured, by the husband with salt and pepper and chili and super crazy things, And I thought it is coming from that place of falling into a relationship, finding yourself inside there, instead of walking. When you're walking, you're able to see, you have vision, you're able to see as far as possible. You're able to decide whether this is the route I want to take or not. So girls, walk into the relationship. Walk with your head high. Don't just walk, but walk with your head high. Make sure you're seeing every point there is. Make sure you're at a good vantage point where you can see everything. And make a decision with the help of the Lord.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you very much. We would not have said it better, but getting it from the horse's mouth, thank you very much. And you out there who is dating, who is looking forward to getting married one day, and who is probably planning, I always tell people, even at the church, the pastor always asks, is there any just? Even just before you put in, if you feel, no, it is still okay to say, I can't do this. Many times we fear, what will people say? You listen to Christine say, I can't leave this. You don't want your family to win. They told you this guy wasn't good. Or and I'm not saying there are many bad people, but I'm saying in terms of character. And probably the man was told this girl no. But he said, I have to prove this point. Then you're not proving it for anybody. It will come back to you. So you don't have to do it, you don't have to get to it. You need to say, I can't do this. It is okay. You need to put value on yourself. You might have been slapped once, get out of that relationship. You can't be in that dating relationship. Because when you get into marriage, the whole game changes, everything changes. Christine had to get out of her marriage, and she's been single for the last 14 years. That would not have been what she had visualized. But remember, she said, I took myself. Don't take yourself. Maybe you have compromised your body already. Maybe you've been intimate already. You can say, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to buy love. I can value myself. And so you see, if you have not valued yourself, then how would you be valued? How could, if she allowed a slap, how could she not be given another slap? So you have a brilliant type opportunity that God has given you, who is out here, who is single, to just work on yourself. Be keen when you get into a relationship. Don't ignore any red flag. Wait on God. The time will come. You'll get there. If it was in God's plan that you get a spouse, you will get that spouse. You will get that family. You will enjoy. But don't get into it knowing I'm getting into it and I don't like it. I know it will not happen. So that even after, immediately after, now you're saying I need to go. Young men, young gentlemen, love is not blind. Open your eyes. Look at those red flags. And I like what Christine finished and said, run. Run. No one will hold a gun at you and say, you must get married to this person. It is only you who can say, I do. Don't do it out of pressure. Don't do it. Work on whatever you may not have dealt with in your life so that you can be able to be a wholesome person as you get into it. Remember, we said we are not getting in as perfect people, but at least holistic people who have been healed, who are emotionally healthy, and can go and start up a relationship. So it was nice being with you. We enjoyed your company, and I'm sure others who are not able to join us will continue joining us on. We'll continue to listen to it as you go on. So thank you from me and Christine. And by the way, Christine was my primary school primary school mate, and interesting, we just hooked up just a few months ago on Facebook, thanks to Facebook, and that's why we are here. So thank you, Wahetu, for even
You're
accepting
welcome.
to just come and share. I really don't take it for granted, and nobody does. Thank you for sharing
You're
your
welcome.
life. It was worth it. The Lord bless you. So bye, guys. Have a good night, and the Lord bless you. Bye.